Okay, and welcome back to Horror with Marchese and Buller, with Gary Buller and William Marchese, where we talk about random things, movies, games, books,
Dogs?
dogs, censor dogs.
Sister dogs? Is the censored dog ready tonight, Will?
He's ready. He's waiting
Is
for
he-
you.
i-
Because
is he-
something slipped last week on Friday. I didn't even notice it. Yeah, so we were just talking about pay scales and submissions. That'll be the title of this.
Yeah, I was speaking to another writer. He was saying how he'd done quite well this year. He'd got a couple of sort of semi-pro payments. He's got one pro payment, but a hell of a lot of sort of token markets. And by token, we kind of mean like 10, maybe $15, $20 payments. Sometimes they just give you a copy of the book. So he was kind of saying that the ones that were lower pay scales and the ones that didn't pay, they tended to be a little bit more slack in terms of, the editing, basically the communication. You just send them an email, accept it. Next thing you know, you're getting an email saying, yep, it's published. It got a much better service, so to speak, from the pro markets where you had you got sent edits back and you're communicating with the editor, and there seemed to be a little bit more TLC in the publication. So I just thought it was really interesting because I mentioned to you, I think last week before the show started, that it's something that maybe we could have sort of spoke about, but I just wondered what your thoughts were on it.
You got these places that put out the token. I mean, even if you're getting a copy of the anthology or whatever that you're in, I think that's good too, because sometimes these things are worth $10, and if you're starting out, that's pretty decent. It's better than not getting anything at all.
Yeah.
But then you get some places that are free. You get a notoriety. Maybe they are known in circles. There's a couple of places like that, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I think Pseudopod changed, but they used to be free.
Yeah, now they're pro rate. I'm pretty sure they're a pro rate market. They're really well respected, Pseudopod.
Yeah, and that's the reason. Horror Writers Association says not to undersell yourself. They said to go from the top down, to really try to get paid first, because you're basically selling yourself short and making your stories seem like they're not worth the price.
Yeah.
So they say there are some places that don't pay, and they did say, I believe I read Pseudopod, but that back then that was, now they're obviously paying. When you have that payment, you're going to get, I'm not saying this as my opinion, I'm saying this as fact. Basically, when you have someone paying you, you're going to get more quality, right?
Yeah.
Quote unquote quality,
Yeah.
because sometimes it's not even about quality, sometimes it's just about what they need, what they want, yada yada. So if I'm looking at these places and I see that this place is offering money, I'm going to know that I have to step up my quality, one. And two, it's going to probably be harder to get into these places. Plus, they're going to be getting a lot of submissions because a lot of people are going to be enticed by that.
Well, yeah, if you're going to get paid for something, people are going to want to get paid. And like you said, the HWA recommend that you start at the highest tier payment first and work your way down. But so, yeah, the big attractions with the higher paying publications. Sure,
and that's the thing. Sometimes if you're not offering any money, sometimes you don't get any submissions, especially if you're new or such.
Sometimes it's the opposite, though. I think sometimes when you get a brand new magazine and it looks pretty smart, you're going to get a load of submissions, even though it's like low or zero pay. You're going to get a lot out of that.
Well, it's like eBay. Like you have to know what to look for. If you're doing the stock markets, you got to look at these different factors. So you got this new magazine coming out, like you said, they got glossy pages, they're fancy. You're thinking, okay, this is probably going to grow into something big. Mm-hmm. They offer nothing, then maybe 6 months later they're offering a penny, a word. Then after that, maybe a year later they're offering 6 cents. They grow. So sometimes
it's like Unnerving magazine. They started off on 1 cent a word, and the first issue of that, I remember Submission Grinder. The number of active submissions on there for Unnerving for the first issue was ridiculous. I'd love to see how many in total sent a story to Eddie Generous's magazine. It was huge, and then he's built up and built up and built up, and now that he's paying 3 cents a word now.
Yeah, and then
So
the more he goes forward, it's going to get more and more. And
yeah. And by the way, I want to sort of put a little sort of disclaimer here. We're not talking, when we say about the free market, we're not talking about anyone that we know. So, all the, the friends of the show, the magazines I've been published in, the magazines that Will's been published in, they're paid either token or free.
Oh yeah, this is just in general. It's just
it's just a generalized
for new writers coming here wanting to know about, because once you start submitting and start doing it yourself, anyone who's listening, you're going to see what we're talking about basically, and you'll make your own judgments and decisions on that, in that way.
I mean, sometimes, like you say, you'll submit to a token payment or zero payment market just for exposure, like genuine exposure for yourself, or because there's a particular writer that's also getting published there that you want to be featured alongside. I think you recall a magazine I think we both submitted a story to, and I think a Clive Barker reprint was going to be in there.
Oh yeah,
and I think that was 15. I think it was $15 Australian payment. So it's like, I think that's the equivalent to like $10.
Yeah, it's a little less.
I was like, gunning for it basically because I wanted to be in a magazine alongside a Clive Barker reprint. I wanted to be, my name to be next to his in the publication. I'm not expecting 1,000,001 people to buy it because it is of course just a reprint. But what that does is it puts your name alongside his on searches, and you go on Amazon and you got your Amazon author webpage and stuff. You're searching for Clive Barker stuff. Sooner or later, my name is going to be there alongside his. So there's so many sort of sensible reasons why you'd want to be in a publication like that alongside someone like that.
Yeah, and plus when you send out, sometimes you have a story, you have no place to put it, you can't sell it anywhere, so you say, you know what, let me just put it out there. It's not necessarily that the story is garbage or anything, it's not, but to someone else that may be really good, and they just take it, or sometimes you just give it to someone that they're not paying as much as a pro rate. Some places might just keep the story and retool it, or just save it for a later time.
Another thing that this author that we knew, who I spoke to earlier, was saying was, which is also rings very, very true. The pro paying markets and the higher paying markets, they're literary horror. They don't accept commercial horror. They don't accept mainstream scary stories. They accept. I think the example he used was, someone crying over the dead body of his daughter, and fungus is overtaking her body, and he's also used the example of wilting flower. It's like it's that sort of horror, literary horror.
It brings to mind like a Dean Koontz. Like Dean Koontz was like that, except you could tell that he was sort of down the middle. He still had the mainstream feel, but you could tell that he was tilting toward a literary, or even Anne Rice. Anne Rice is very literary. She's like painting a picture.
She's very much, But the thing is, like you were saying, you might have a story that you've written. It might be a very good story, but it doesn't fit within their image, their remit, and that's why it sometimes pays to read at least one story from a magazine you're going to submit to.
Well, and that's to add on to what I was saying. I mean, you have the story and you're prolific, so you're writing your next story, and maybe you have 3 stories that you're writing. This story you want to just get out there, so you just give it away, and I'm not saying, when I say give it away, I don't mean you're just throwing it out. I mean, I'm saying you're not selling it to your cemetery dance or your rue morgue. You're giving it to a place that's newer, that's gonna appreciate it, and you're gonna keep writing.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Get the stories out there. The stories are not doing any good sat on your hard drive doing nothing.
Exactly.
You may as well, if it's a finished story, get it out there. Try and find a home for it, but try and find the best home you can.
Yeah.
We've spoken before on this podcast about the difference between free publications, like say Aphotic Realm, and free publications like, well, I'm not going to name them. They just literally take 50 or 60 stories from people and just whack them on a web page or in a PDF file, and then that's it. You know, you don't get paid for it. No editing. They probably don't even read the stories, just sort of thrown on there. There is a difference between some markets, I think.
Yeah, and when you don't get the edits, or you don't get any feedback, I believe that's a disservice to the writer because they're not learning. So what happens is that they're getting their story out there, and maybe the person publishing them is eager to just publish, or for whatever reasons, but that person is it's gonna boost them up, and now they're gonna think whatever they make is great. And I'm not saying it's not. So don't take, but what I'm saying is it's not going to push them in the right direction for the harder markets and to move up and to get those, the more aggressive kind of challenges that are out there to make it. That's it's sort of like when you're a kid, when you're a kid and you're in school and they want everybody to win an award, but that's not really teaching,
No.
that there's winners. That's not that there's winners and losers, but you have to try hard in order to achieve your goals. And making everybody think that it's easy is not a great thing.
Love your story at the end of the day. Give your story a little bit of love. Why would you throw it somewhere where somebody doesn't care about it? And once it's published, it immediately loses value because you can't sell it as a new story then. So. Just have a good think about it. I think it does ring true that sort of go for the higher markets first, but also if it's a story that you've written for a particular market, or there's an anthology with a particular theme that sort of strikes your interest, go for that as well. You just
Yeah. And so to wrap it up on a final note, just know this: we don't think we know everything. Obviously, we're giving you tips and advice about what we've been through and what we feel our methods are doing and how we go about things. It may work for you, it may not work for you. It's it's just
it's a little bit like sticking your finger up.
Oh, I was hoping that wouldn't come, and then I just the dog.
Am I getting applause?
The dog comes out, and there goes the people clapping for Gary. Hopefully, yeah. Thank you. Yes. No tips this time.
No tips.
See you next time, and keep writing.
Ciao.
Francesco Ronaldo.
Just literally take 50 or 60 stories from people and just whack them in a web page.